Welcome back now to our next conversation. The European Union is planning to turn to Africa to help wean itself off Russian natural gas. Seeing countries in Western Africa like Nigeria, Senegal, and Angola in particular have largely untapped potential for liquefied natural gas. But how would Africa step up to this? We have joining us Femi Adeyemo, CEO, Energy, Oil and Gas. Great to have you on the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, yeah, so paint a picture of the kind of investment needed to make this, reality of getting African gas to Europe.
In recent times, there had been a lot of information around, it's Nigerian time to be able to send gas to Europe. But I think that if we look at the investment that is required, it's not a child's play. We're talking about $5 million for every kilometer of gas that needs to be piped. And if you look at the distance that has to be covered, we're talking of about close to 7,000 kilometers. However, the good news is we don't have to pipe from Warri or from Port Harcourt to Europe. We can actually connect, to the gas pipelines that are already existing in North Africa, especially in Algeria. And there are some initiatives already that the MOU had been signed, but that has been for some time now. So indeed, when you talk about investment, we're looking at about $5 million for every kilometer, and for us to connect to the closest gas pipeline to get Nigerian gas to Europe, we're looking at about 4,400 kilometers. So we're talking about excess of $20 billion for that to happen.
Right, quite a huge sum there. But looking at investment and where Nigeria is, right now, we also have the issues of securing these pipelines. What are the risks here?
The risk is there for everyone to see, right? Because even locally, we are all aware of instances where we've had leakages or pipeline vandalism locally. So if you're then looking at 4,400 thereabouts kilometers of pipeline from Warri to Aserimel in Algeria, definitely there will be concerns around security. And that's one of the things that has stalled the project, because there is the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, or otherwise called NIGEL, that the Nigerian government had signed MOU with the Algerian government since the early 2000s. But here we are in 2022, it's still not, it's still in the prospecting stage. At some point, it stalled again because of security challenges. So indeed, it's not something that we can wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, we now have a gas pipeline from Warri to Europe, or even to Algeria, like I mentioned. So indeed, the challenge is real. It is happening locally. And of course, for it to happen, for us to be able to have gas pipe from Warri to Algeria, of course, to link to the pipeline that already is in existence to Europe, there has to be intentionality, not only from the Nigerian government, from all the other countries. It passed through Niger to Algeria, and then before it will get to Europe. So there has to be a lot of intentionality and willpower on the board, from the government side for it to happen, given the investment that is.
And looking at the oil and gas, value chain, what do the players there also, what do they have to do, to make this a reality?
As far as I'm aware, most of the initiative that is far ahead is still, the one I mentioned, the NIGEL, which is likely an MOU between NNPC and Sonatrach. Sonatrach is the Algerian national oil and gas company, similar to our NNPC. So that's largely where the conversation is still on. Are we going to see private sector play in that value chain? I'm not sure, given the quantum of investment that is required. Of course, we have I mean, our billionaire, the African richest man, Aliko, spending similar amounts. I mean, in the factory that is at the Lekki Free Trade Zone area. So, indeed, it's not impossible that we can have a private sector player participate in this, but of course, that will require a lot of effort and some sort of backing from the government. And I'm talking of not only the Nigerian government, but the European government, because if Nigeria is really critical to the German or European strategy on the repowered EU model, it is important that there has to be big play here. And no private sector player will invest such amount given the security challenges along Niger to Algeria. I mean, no private sector player will want to
quite a
get
huge
into such
investment there.
Or significant.
Yes. Okay, but before I let you go now, which African countries do you think will lead? When it comes to meeting Europe's gas demand?
So I think geography had already placed countries like Algeria in a good position because of the proximity to Europe. They already have gas pipeline. There is the Maghreb Europe gas pipeline. There is Medgas. So those are already there. In their own instance, the problem is a function of capacity, not infrastructure. But unfortunately, in our own case, it's a function of infrastructure, not capacity. So I think that the North African countries, given that infrastructure is already available, they are in a pole position to be able to bridge the gap. And that's why also new initiative like renewable energy-based hydrogen and coal might come into play, because Europe is not only looking at pipe gas, they're also looking at other alternatives that can get them out of this crisis.
Right. So I guess some African countries already have a head start because of geographical location. All right, thank you so much, Femi Adeyemo, CEO, Energy, Oil and Gas. It was great having you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.